Wow, we are in here.
Oh.
We are in here. Let's go. Go Niners,
Let's get
go
it.
Niners, go Niners. Hey, my name is Akeem.
This is Blair.
This is a special day. This is a special day. We got a great guy on the show today. I'm gonna let him give you his little bit of his resume. And you know, we gonna get it on from here. Go ahead, brother.
My name is Sterling Bennett. I am the host of the 49ers Access podcast. You can find me on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, wherever you want to. I'm a producer at 957 The Game. I love this Niners team, and my blood and my heart are red and gold till the day I die.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Let's get it on, man. One of my big topics today was definitely my boy Grant, and he was on the show before. I'm gonna play this clip for you guys, and you guys tell me what you think.
The 49ers just released their depth chart for week 1 of 2020. Here it is. X receiver, Deebo Samuel, Trent Taylor, and Brandon Ayuk. Left tackle, Trent Williams and Justin Skule. Left guard, Laken Tomlinson and rookie Colton McKivitz. Center, Ben Garland. Right guard, Daniel Brunskill or Tom Compton. Right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. Tight end, George Kittle, Jordan Reed, Ross Dwelly, and Charlie Warner in that order. Z receiver, Kendrick Bourne, Dante Pettis, and Richie James Jr. Running back, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, and Jeff Wilson Jr. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. Quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Mullins, and CJ Beathard. Left defensive end, Eric Armstead and Dee Ford. Left defensive tackle, Solomon Thomas, and then J.Kinlaw. Right defensive tackle, DJ Jones, Kentavious Street, and Kevin Givens. Right defensive end, Nick Bosa and Kerry Hyder. Strong side linebacker, Dre Greenlaw and Mark Nzaucha. Middle linebacker, Fred Warner and Azeez Al-Shaair. Weak side linebacker, Quan Alexander and Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. Left cornerback, Richard Sherman and Jason Verrett. Right cornerback, Emmanuel Mosley or Akello Witherspoon. Nickelback, K'Wan Williams. Free safety, Jimmy Ward, and then Tavarius Moore. Strong safety, Jaquaski Tart and Marcel Harris. Punt returner, Richie James Jr., Trent Taylor, and Dante Pettis. Kickoff returner, Richie James Jr. and Jerick McKinnon. Kicker, Robbie Gould. Punter, Mitch Wishnowsky, and long snapper, Kyle Nelson. Here are my thoughts on the 49ers depth chart. Solomon Thomas is a starter, not J.Kinlaw. I told you Kinlaw struggled in camp. I told you he wasn't ready to be a 3-down player, and it seems the 49ers agree. And rather than throw Kinlaw on the field before he's ready, the 49ers will start another former first-round pick, Solomon Thomas, which is fair. Thomas outperformed Kinlaw in camp. Brandon Ayuk isn't really third on the depth chart. He's injured. He has a hamstring pull and may not play week 1. When he returns and is 100% healthy, he probably will become the starting Z receiver, or Samuel will move to Z and Ayuk will become the starting X receiver. Either way, Samuel and Ayuk probably will be the starting tandem quite soon, unless Kendrick Bourne has a breakout season. Good for the 49ers for listing Raheem Mostert as a starter, but I'm still skeptical. Until I see Mostert actually start a game, something he never has done in the NFL, I will assume head coach Kyle Shanahan will put Tevin Coleman in the huddle for the first offensive play of the season. Call me cynical. Who are the 49ers kidding at right guard and right cornerback? They still won't list a starter at either spot. They say Brunskill or Compton will start at right guard, when we know it probably will be Brunskill, a former undrafted free agent. And they say Mosley or Witherspoon will start at corner, when we know probably it will be Mosley, another former undrafted free agent. Seems like Shanahan is propping up players he drafted or signed. The 49ers still won't let Dante Pettis return punts. He was a record-setting punt returner at the University of Washington. On the 49ers, he's the third string punt returner behind Trent Taylor, who's slow, and Richie James Jr., who missed all of training camp. Pettis competed for the punt returner job against a player who couldn't compete and still lost because he can't catch the ball consistently.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right, man. Hey, he went all the way in, man. But let me go ahead and just talk about the elephant in the room for me, man. I mean, our top pick. This is our top pick in the draft, Kinlaw, and he's going to be a backup. I mean, tell me what are you guys' thoughts about that, man?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think when the Niners picked J.Kinlaw, it was more so of, or at least the talk was, how is he going to replace DeForest Buckner? And that comparison and the reasoning behind that is fine. It makes a ton of sense. They traded Buckner to get the 13th pick and pick Kinlaw. I wouldn't have picked Kinlaw. I would have gone CeeDee Lamb, but hey, that's just me. I'm not San Francisco.
I was rooting for CeeDee Lamb. I ain't gonna lie.
Me too.
I was screaming behind my couch saying, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. And went,
Yeah.
What? But I like Kinlaw, just not right now. And what I mean by that is, and to reiterate Grant's point, I've heard the same thing. I've heard J.Kinlaw has not impressed enough to be a starter. And with this team, the Niners, and the unfortunate part is, with no preseason, they do not have time to give struggling rookies snaps. They have to give guys like Solomon Thomas, when Ronald Blair comes back, he'll fill in somewhere. They have to give guys like that the snaps because they have to come out week one firing on all cylinders, and having an unproven and perhaps a struggling J.Kinlaw doesn't do that for this team.
Absolutely. And you want to know the thing? J.Kinlaw, I believe, was drafted based on the defensive line coach. I honestly believe that. I believe the defensive line coach, Chris, he looked at the player, he looked at his size, and was like, I can build this guy up. Until this guy actually started playing with NFL players, he's just slow and he lacks technique. And Solomon Thomas has really built up his repertoire, so I'm anxious to see what he does out there on Sunday.
We'll see, man. I'm not a huge Solomon Thomas. I mean, I have to be sold from gameplay because I was fired up. Anybody come from Stanford, I believe is going to be the truth in the NFL, man. I'm a Pac-12 guy, so I really sit and watched him play, and he was dominant. I mean, he was like, I was so excited to get him. So I can't even be mad at John Lynch because I probably would have drafted him too, right? But the thing is that how is it that you play in the SEC and you're not ready for the NFL? That's kind of, to me, the probably the best football conference. All pros, they play pros every week, several, and you competed at a high level. But when you get to the NFL, this is something you can't handle. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on this guy, man. It's hard for me. I'm telling you, man. I don't know, but let's talk about this. Let me break this down for you guys. I know Ronald Blair is out also. And I just don't know. Like, I'm a Ronald Blair fan, but I don't know what's his deal. Like, he's continuously being injured. Like, he never finishes a season. We got DJ Jones in there. Solomon Thomas, I really hope that he can show up, because if he don't, it's going to be a long season. I mean, we have some great linebackers, but these are really coverage linebackers. People don't really talk about, their stature, their build. They're sideline to sideline running wise, but they're not really gap pluggers. I mean, they can come in and make some plays, but if they combo block onto the linebacker, I don't know if they're going to be able to shed them blocks as well as somebody that has bigger stature. So if we don't have the interior linemen playing great, we forget how spoiled we was with Buckner. Like, he was really, really good in there and really stout. So what do you guys think? We was 15th last year against the run. So what do you guys project going into this year on how we should look against the run this year?
You said we were 15th last season?
15th, man. That's not good at all. Like, we're number one against the pass, 15th against the run. That
I think it's going to drop even lower. I honestly do. I mean, DeForest Buckner, he's not there. Kinlaw is not up to par. The middle had issues last season with Buckner there. You know what I mean? Teams were able to run through the gaps. I think this season you're going to see them replicate that. They're going to run through those gaps because they know that, we have a handicap there in the middle. Defensively, I think we're going to be able to cover running backs and receivers. Like you said, we have coverage linebackers. Physicality when it comes to stopping the run, I'm not seeing it right now. So I actually think we're going to drop down to 20th.
Yeah, it's tough because you look at the numbers, and I do think they're somewhat skewed. DJ Jones did not finish the season. He wasn't healthy for what seemed like the last, 5 games there. To my recollection, he wasn't playing in the Arizona game in Game 2. He didn't finish the year after, I think, November 17th, which was around week 11 or 13. So he wasn't playing against the Ravens. He wasn't playing against games where this Niners defense was gashed against the run. But on top of that, if you're going to ask Fred Warner and Quan Alexander and even J.Kinlaw to be a Ray Lewis run stopper, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Yeah. The way this Niners team is built is keep everything in front of you. We don't mind a running back getting 3, 4, 5 yards as long as our safeties, Jimmy Ward, Tart, they're designed to stop the running back in his tracks once he gets past the first and maybe second layer. And even the linebackers are built the exact same way. And the defensive line is to get at the quarterback. They have guys like Nick Bosa, D Ford, and D Ford today even said, I don't want to be a great pass rusher. My goal is to be a great defensive player. So if that's the goal for this defense, I don't know. There's room for improvement, obviously. But I think the way this defense is built is keep it in front of you, eliminate the big play, and go from there. We have the guys up top behind us, Sherman, Mosley, Witherspoon, Ward, and Tart to stop everything else. But just keep it in front of you.
Let's get into it. You mentioned Mosley. They did not really name him as a starter. They pretty much said that it could be him or someone. You know what I mean? Like that to me means they don't really have as much confidence in him right now. And it's hard because I felt like during the camp they were pretty much saying he was the guy. He was the guy making the plays. He was the guy that was really showing starter potential. Now, I don't think my Niners are known to be like holding someone's hand like a Keller Weatherspoon. But if this guy's a starter, just say it. Like he's the guy. So, like, what do you guys think about that battle? Who do you guys think should start this week?
Good.
Yeah, this is another tough one because when you look at the names you heard in camp, and it's probably due to because of Jason Verrett's health, where we didn't see a lot of him last year. He played in that Steelers game, got burned in the first 2 passes that were thrown his way, and gave up the lead for us late in that game. He was immediately pulled, put on IR again, and said, "You're not playing the rest of the season. Go get healthy." And he showed up in camp prior to getting hurt again. He was the number 2 guy, and that's surprising to hear. But when you know Jason Verrett's history of being a Pro Bowler, being some guy that the Chargers thought was going to be their number 1 cornerback,
he was good. He
for
was
a long
good.
time, exactly. But then you look at last year's film, and I would assume a lot of Niner fans, including both of yourselves, when the Niners played Seattle in Seattle, and Mosley was not named the starter, and then Witherspoon got burned in the first quarter. They benched him. Mosley came in, was a stopgap, and played fantastic in that game, had a great pass deflection late in that game in the fourth quarter on that final drive. But the same thing happened again the next week against Minnesota. 2 weeks against Minnesota in the division round. Witherspoon got the start. Diggs burned him on the first drive for a touchdown. Then they benched him again. So I don't want to say the Niners are coddling Witherspoon somewhat, but the inconsistencies he has and continues to have, it's tough for me to say Emmanuel Mosley shouldn't be the starter by default, knowing Verrett's not going to be healthy likely for week 1.
Absolutely. I think you're on point. See, Witherspoon, he fits the criteria, right? He's tall, he's lanky, he's exactly the prototype of a corner. And I really believe the Niners want him to work out. I mean, come on, look at the NFL. Guys are benched and they're not on the team anymore. They're keeping him around for a reason. They want him to work out. They want him to win this job. He keeps losing it. He keeps losing the job over and over again. I think Shanahan is coddling him just a bit. You know what I mean? This guy, he's touchy-feely, penalties all the time. He's always getting burnt. I'm always seeing his numbers and then the other player catching the ball. But when Mosley's in, Mosley's physical, hand checking, when there's separation, he recovers well. This guy's a starter.
SEC football. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I mean, this is let's talk. I mean, I love Pac-12. I'm a Pac-12 guy, but when he came out of Colorado, he had the Richard Sherman build, so I understood the draft move. Like I knew Richard was gonna, work with him, trying to train him up a little bit. But like Richard was an ex-wide receiver. He was pretty athletic. He's very knowledgeable of the position of wide receiver. So being a defensive back, it was easy for him to transition in that. But I still think that Witherspoon has an opportunity. I would, me personally, I would give him flashes of safety, backup safety this year, because I think he's rangy. He's long and lanky, but he's rangy. He's fast. And maybe if he, sees the field a little bit, because to be honest with you, we're kind of thin at safety. I'm not really sold on Moore, and I'm not really sold on Moore, and I'm not really sold on Ward if he, outside of a contract year. So let's see what Ward does this year, because he played in contract year, and and he was a superstar, right? Like for some reason, everybody recovers like Wolverine during contract year, right? So he played all year, and I'm spoiled. But let him get a hamstring problems for 20 weeks. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll be totally done. I'll be totally done with Ward. So I'm just saying, I think we can use him in other ways. We cut DJ Jones a while ago. Not DJ Jones, but who was it? Who was that corner we cut, man? Oh my God, we cut
Jamar Taylor.
With him, but it was him. But it was before him. It was like
DJ Reed went on
DJ
IR.
Reed.
DJ Reed.
Oh, he's on IR. I thought we cut him for a spot.
I was actually going to bring that up. It's interesting because my mind went to when you said Witherspoon at safety, you weren't sold at us at corner and safety. Is that what if DJ Reed doesn't get hurt and the experiment of Tavarius Moore at cornerback does work? Is Witherspoon even here? Who knows? And that's kind of the tough thing is that it really surprised me that the Niners did cut Jamar Taylor, knowing that K'Waun Williams at the time was injured with the ankle and DJ Reed was on IR. That Jamar Taylor is a guy who's a veteran guy. You can plug him in at slot or nickel, depending on where you want to put him. But I don't know. I think if you ask me on, which is it's kind of dumb to say, but on a really good secondary and a really good defense, which we do have, but on a better one, maybe like Pittsburgh, I don't even think Witherspoon's a top 4 guy, and he's our number 3. It makes no sense, but I think it's the hand the Niners have been dealt because Barrett's hurt, Reed's hurt, Moore didn't work out at corner. They have to work with what they have, and to a certain point, and unfortunately, Witherspoon is what they have.
Yeah,
man. Man. I mean, it's not a lot of good corners out there, and I see why the Rams paid the overpriced of Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they kind of had to. I think he's not worth that. I think they'll cut him in 2 years, but that's the Rams way, though, right? They have to. Yeah, Rams overpay everybody. I mean, I was
overpay, cut him in 2 years, and then pay the remaining salary.
Yeah, that billionaire owner, man, he's not playing games. But let's get into the actual nitty gritty a little bit with the game. We got week 1, we got the Cardinals. We have a problem. We have a real problem with mobile quarterbacks. This is something I know we do a wide 9 type of upfield push. So in the wide 9, it got a lot of running lanes for quarterbacks that's kind of mobile. So that scheme wise, we're acceptable to that, right? But we have coverage linebackers that are really, really fast, and we can make up for some of those mistakes that Nick or D Ford can make. But outside of those 2 guys that's playing that kind of pass rush type of deal, like they're going to be putting like Armstead at the end sometime. I mean, they're going to be putting like different type of fields for the ends. I don't know how our depth is really looking without Blair and them healthy at the D line position, man. So what do you guys think on how we're going to be able to control Kyler Murray, man? He is a special talent. They now have a wide receiver that's pretty good. And if you're smart, Richard Sherman only does he play the left or the right side? One of the two. And he only plays it all game long. So if he's going to play that all game long, they know to line him up, against, the other corner over there. So B-Hop's going to be out there, and and that could be some problems for us. So what are you guys thinking? How do you think we're going to fare against that offense that the Cardinals present?
I think we beat the Cardinals. But here's the thing. B-Hop is going to have a game. Like, he's going to have a game. They're going to continue to put him opposite of Sherman. And if they do put him on Sherman right now, I'm not that confident that Sherman's going to lock him down. I'm just not that confident in Sherman where he's at today. When you're talking about Murray, okay, Murray's going to be running all over the place. If Nicky Bosa decides not to stay home like he did in the previous 2 matchups, we're going to have a bad day. Like you just said, we're thin. We are thin when it comes to the D-line. We have injuries like we did last season. Let someone go down. Let Solomon Thomas go down. And I'm telling you, this team is going to have a serious issue going forward.
Yeah, I think the tough thing when you look at the Cardinals and Niners last year was that the Cardinals played the Niners entirely different game 1 to game 2. In game 1, Kyler Murray only had 34 yards. 21 of those were only on 1 big play in the second half. Niners had 3 sacks, and they did a great job containing Kyler Murray. Game 2, totally different story. 67 yards, 1 touchdown, average 8.8 yards per carry. The Niners did have 4 sacks, but the containment was the issue. And I think the one thing we have to look at here is that the Niners are so great in coverage is that the receivers are going to be covered. They're going to be shut down, going to be locked down. And I've even heard from people that Jimmy Ward could be the guy that comes down and plays slot when D-Hop does come down, or plays nickel when D-Hop does come down and plays slot. Now, again, that may be because of the size difference between K'Wan Williams and DeAndre Hopkins. And I also heard that Tarvarius Moore could then become the free safety on those plays. I like Tarvarius Moore. He needs to be better in coverage, but when it comes to...
He needs to be a lot better in coverage.
he does, yes. But somehow, some way, he finds a way to get his hands on the ball. And then that's the only thing I like from him. But when it comes to stopping Kyler Murray, game 1, game 2, totally different stories. Game 2, for some reason, our linebackers, they weren't reading the zone read very well. They were kind of keying on stopping Kenyon Drake, who didn't have a good game in game 2. That's when Kyler Murray went off. So it's more so of in both games, they said, hey, we're going to stop Kyler Murray. Drake went off. Then it was vice versa. Then Murray went off. So I do believe that the one key here, besides locking down the receivers here, is Dee Ford. Dee Ford was phenomenal in both games. 3 sacks, three tackle for losses. He was phenomenal in containing Kyler Murray. I think that's the guy we had to look out when we're talking about containing Murray here. Is Dee Ford has to be on the field, has to be active, and has to be almost around every single play to make something happen.
How much do we think he'll be on the field? Do we think he's going to be healthy or what's going on with this guy?
So today reports came out that Dee Ford had an Achilles problem late in camp that wasn't reported. Again, they wasn't too serious. Ford said that he was healthy, feels fine now. But again, you hate to say this, but it's tough saying this because I do love Dee Ford, that at what point is he not hurt? And I talked about this 2 weeks ago, and I said, anytime a Niner player goes down on defense, your mindset is, oh my God, please do not let that be Dee Ford. And nine times out of 10, it's Dee Ford. Because he's so pivotal to the defense. Look at the games he missed, and look at how bad the defense played. And they didn't play bad, but I read a stat last year in the offseason, or before the season, that our defense held opponents to 13 points with Dee Ford on the field. That's how important he was. Without him, 20 points. That's the difference in a win. That's the difference in going 10-6 and 13-3. And right now in the NFC West, you have to win at least 11 games to win the NFC West. So Dee Ford has to be healthy. Hope to God he's healthy on Sunday. He seems to be, but he's going to be the guy to look out for on Sunday against Kyler Murray.
Jesus.
Man, that's tough to hear, man. I don't think people really understand what your Achilles, like that injury is something that you can't just say,
I'm gonna play through it.
Oh yeah, man, Achilles, man. A little tightness in my Achilles. To be honest with you, man, I love Dee Ford, man. I think he's a specialist, right? But I think he's a specialist pass rusher, and I think they should save him for the crucial downs. I think we should really probably, I say we can start him, but that's only, because, he wants to run out on the field with everybody. I'm talking about situational football. He needs to be involved in the game. We need to keep him healthy. I think, I'm a 76er fan. So, I know how they did Joel Embiid, and, they did time on him where he, couldn't play certain minutes. They need to do that to him, man, because he is so valuable to what we do. Like, we really need to watch him like throughout the regular season. But I will say this. I think Eric Armstead is going to be a guy. I think he is a natural gap plugger. I think he's a beginning to be a pass rusher from the inside. And also, if we had to put him at the end and we put DJ Jones inside, that's still a special lineup, right? So we have to really understand it. You know, we gotta get through, you know, until Ronald Blair gets healthy. Those type of guys get healthy, and Kinlaw got to get ready. Kinlaw is playing. He is going to play. And Wayne Breezy, I'm gonna give him a shout out right here. You know, they have a podcast too on the 49ers. But what I would say is, you know, he was saying earlier that, you know, he's built to stop the run, Kinlaw. So I mean, he may be a situational player too. But you know, I don't know. I think that's the part that I'm a little weary about because of that. Kyler Murray, he was special last year, so he's gonna be comfortable. Yeah. He got a better receiver, and he still got Fitzgerald. Let's not forget that what he does to the Niners. So we have a tall task. I know people gonna think we're gonna walk in this game. I still think we'll win by 8 to 9 points. I'm that guy. I'm not overthinking it. What I'm thinking, we'll wear them down because I think offensively we're too special, and I don't think they can stop our run game. I don't think that their coach is close to ours. I think he's kind of overrated. I think he has a good quarterback and a good scheme, but as a coach, I want to see how he develops his players. He has a damn good defensive lineman. He's special. But I would say during this game, our offense, nobody is going to stop Kittle, fact, and Reed, fact. I think I was just watching the game a little bit ago, and I was watching Patrick Mahomes and how Hill was just putting pressure on the secondary just by running the hard at the safety, and then they back in, throw the ball at the X receiver, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, George Kittle is going to demand a double team on every play, and if he's not getting double team, it's going to be a long game for them guys. What y'all thinking offensively?
Offensively for the Cardinals, I think offensively, man, like I was saying, I just know Kyler Murray, like you said, this is in the second year. Of course, he's going to build that confidence. And I like what Wayne Breezy said, and I didn't even think about that. You know, we do have, Kinlaw as a run stopper. This guy is a giant. If he can just stay on the line and not allow people past him, then I think we might be in good shape. But if we're talking offense, I don't think there's an answer for Kittle. Budda Baker got destroyed. If they try to do that again, the same thing's going to happen. Same scenario. Now, where you have a little bit of wiggle room, I'm hoping, man, that Jerick McKinnon. I'm waiting for McKinnon. See, he's a matchup problem for linebackers.
Hey, man, we'll see about McKinnon, man. Like, he's another one of those players, man, that we overpaid for, man. And he hasn't gave us a penny of his time. So I'm like I said, I agree. I am excited to see him run routes. I'm excited, to be honest with you. I think I'm really excited about Trent Taylor.
Oh yeah.
We was talking before the show. If we go player for player, I mean, Trent Taylor is up there in offense, man. What do you guys think about let's go core for core. We'll break down wide receivers. Then we'll go to different position. What do y'all think about our wide receivers going into this game matchup-wise?
Go ahead, Sterling.
Yeah, I actually want to hit on the point before. So with Kittle is that who's going to guard him? Again, you mentioned Budda Baker, but is Isaiah Simmons the rookie who was playing linebacker, which was his weakest position in college? Is he going to do it? Are they going to put Simmons and Baker on Kittle? And at that point, Trent Taylor's running the slant. Pettis is going deep. Bourne's running the crossing route. It's over. And so I've heard San Francisco going a lot of two tight end sets. This is what I think. Niners pound and ground all the way get to the red zone. Jordan Reed, Kittle eat inside the 5. Yeah, that's what it's going to be like. Yeah. And because Arizona doesn't have the personnel to stop it. And then that's the issue. But when it comes to Jerick McKinnon as well, you mentioned Jerick McKinnon. I mentioned this before the season started on Twitter. I would have loved to have seen 5 running backs on this team because of the depth that we don't have at receiver right now with Deebo and Ayuk. Ayuk did practice today, so good for him. Deebo still did not practice, so his status is a little uncertain right now. But I would love to see Jerick McKinnon in the slot this year. It would be great. Three running back sets, move McKinnon to the slot. You got Coleman, Mostert, and McKinnon on the field at the same time. That would be insane to see. And I think McKinnon, who reports said he made our linebackers, who are arguably the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, look dumb in training camp. That's something, and let's not forget, nobody has any tape on him in Shanahan's system. He is the secret weapon. He's the X factor here. If you're going to go D4 on defense, McKinnon, he's the guy on offense. No one's seen a lick of what he can do in Shanahan's system.
That's
bring him back to the receivers. I would say Arizona has better receivers by far. Top heavy, easy. Kirk, Hopkins, Fitzgerald. When it comes to us, if Deebo's healthy, I think Deebo is better than Fitzgerald right now. Not all time, obviously.
Of course.
And way better than Kirk. Kirk's good. He's a solid guy. But let's not forget Andy Isabella. He burned us last year. Not a big name, but he's speedy. And Sherman had a problem with speedy.
Over the top. It was
that's the issue here.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Sherman has a problem with speedy receivers. We don't have speedy corners. Andy Isabella could play a factor here come week 1.
Good points.
I was somebody mentioned Pettis.
Wayne Breezy.
Yeah, Wayne Breezy with the Pettis. I'm not a Pettis guy because he's disappointing me after year 1. Right. You know, when I'm on the wagon though, right? Like, so I'm gonna go all the way to the roof. Like, but I'm gonna say he disappointed me. You know, maybe because I'm a USC guy and he was a UW guy, and that year, you know, he handled us pretty well. Maybe I'm a little biased, but when he was on the Niners, I was hopeful. But he can't even win. He couldn't even win the punt return spot from a hurt from a hurt returner from last year. You tell me, how does that happen? Because he can't handle the punts? Are we serious? Did we just not hear that? But we're going to talk about Pettis, man. Like he is going to do something for us, but he can't even handle punts. I mean, come on, Richie James just been hurt the whole camp, and this is my job.
Yeah, like, and I think that's disappointing. That's disappointing, man.
Think about what we're saying here. We're putting hope in the guy. First of all, it's his contract year, so he may have a little juice, right? You know what I mean? So we may have to give him a little, 76 overall Madden rating. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you're at 80, at least you're a pretty good player. But he's a 76 in my eyes. I don't think he's there in the league yet, man. Nobody respects him, man. He couldn't get open. So I'm telling you right now, I'm looking for the creativity from Kyle Shanahan. He is probably the most he ain't underrated, but he is the most overlooked coach based upon they blaming a Super Bowl on him that he was not the head coach. He was up by 28. What else you want the man to do? When you're up by 28 against the Patriots, and your defensive coordinator, they used to be the Seattle's defensive coordinator in those Super Bowls, couldn't stop the Patriots from coming back, and you're going to put that on Kyle Shanahan? How are we allowing this as 49er fans, right? That is blasphemous. So at the end of the day, I think he's going to be creative. I got the game to be 32-24, 32-24 Niners. I think we'll struggle early. Only reason I say we'll struggle early is because we're probably gonna run the ball a lot, and we haven't had preseasons. And I could just look by the game today and kind of see that it's looking a little hard. You know, defenses are ahead of offenses. So, they got a pretty spectacular offense out there in Kansas City that I can't wait to see again in the Super Bowl if we get to rematch them. But I'm really feeling like we have a great opportunity to at least win by 10. What are you guys' thoughts on the score and how we're going to look in this game? Give me something that you got.
I got 21-13 Niners, of course. I think the Niners come out a little bit sloppy due to just the preseason issues there. I think offense is going to come out slow. Defense is obviously going to come firing. My main eyes are on Jimmy G. That's what it is. I want Jimmy G to go under the center, drop back, and drop bombs. That's what I want. I don't want this guy to look like he's trying to figure it out. No, I want the veteran Jimmy G to come in and solidify himself as a quarterback, because I believe that's what the Niners need to be successful. We relied on our defense last season, right? And that was cool. You get to the Super Bowl, you realize it's going to take a little bit more than your defense. So this season, I would like to see a better balance, and I think that starts on week 1 if Jimmy G can come out firing.
I have it 26-20. I think what's going to happen is one of two things. San Francisco is either going to do what they did in the playoffs, where the first drive is all Jimmy G. Get them a 7-point lead, get it early, get it quick, then run the ball the entire time. I think that's one option. Or the other way they go is they just go, look, we didn't have a preseason. The receivers are banged up. Let's run the ball the entire time and let Jimmy Garoppolo eat in the red zone. Give it to Kittle. Give it to Reed. Those are the guys. Again, I said earlier that Arizona doesn't have the personnel, but I said this on my own podcast. Jimmy Garoppolo knows how to win. And he also knows how to beat the Arizona Cardinals. Did it twice last year, and they were down by at least 10 in both of those games at a certain point. Combined, 741 yards, 8 touchdowns, and averaged a 76.1 QBR. Jimmy Garoppolo played arguably his 2 best games of the season against Arizona last year, besides that amazing Saints game.
Amazing. And let's also not forget that Jimmy G beat Seattle Seahawks too. We split with them last year.
Should have beat him twice.
Should have beat him twice.
If Robbie Gold was there, we would have won. So you could have swept him. And I really think that he doesn't get enough credit. I'm a Jimmy, I'm a huge Jimmy G fan. So what you got? Go ahead.
And people forget sometimes, and they do and they don't, because Dwelly was so big in game 2 that he replaced George Kittle. The Niners Kittle wasn't there in game 2.
Shout out to Ross Dwelly.
So good. And he's our third tight end, and he can do that in the absence of Kittle. The Niners are loaded at tight end. Well, and I get it, Reed's health is a huge concern. But let's also not forget, Kittle hurt his ankle in game 1. There was a major concern. He can miss that entire game. Obviously, he came back and killed it. But the Niners have the personnel, no matter who's out, even if it's Kittle. And yes, Kittle is irreplaceable, that they can still win games. And Sunday, they're fully healthy besides Deebo and Verrett. They're going to be okay. But my bigger concern is, who the hell's playing center? Who? Like, that's the bigger concern, because Arizona has Jordan Phillips. He's playing DT, came over from Buffalo last year. Ben Garland is still limited. Richburg's out for at least 6 to 8 weeks on the PUP list. They're going to eat the inside, especially because Brunskill couldn't play center in training camp. Grosu is one of the guys on the quote-unquote taxi squad, and he was being destroyed by DJ Jones all training camp and all practice. So
DJ Jones is special, though.
He is special, but if Ben Garland's not healthy...
I'm a DJ Jones guy.
Nah, I was like, that's his guy.
but again, I agree with you. But I think because we run a lot of zone read type of stuff, I think we can survive in the center. It's the 7-step to 10-step drops that concern me and collapse in the pocket when it comes to that. But our running game should be all right with whatever center we put in there. But I do agree with late in the game, 7 to 10-step drops in the NFL with a struggling center and a really good DT, because just imagine when we play the Rams, you know what they're going to do, right? They're going to put probably the best guy in football over him, in Aaron Donald, and it's going to be a nightmare. So we got to get a lot of stuff together, but I still think scheme-wise, it's hard to beat Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he just seems like his whole life is dedicated to zone running, blocking down the field. Man, I love him. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I just really believe that we have a big opportunity to win week 1. I think if we don't win, and I don't even want to put that in the atmosphere, right? But if we don't win, how we lose is going to be very important, because it could really shape. And I know people look at week 1, always week 1. It could really shape how our season goes based upon how we lose in the game. Yeah. I know, Blair, we'll probably go Sunday night. or
Okay.
or Monday or whatever. We'll probably roll. But if we lose, this is a good question for you guys. If we lose, what you think would be 3 reasons why we would?
I
That's
think
a tough question, man, because we always, as Niner fans, we think win, 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 win. Yeah, we're weak here, we're weak there, but we can overcome it with this, that, and the other because we're a little biased. But
yeah.
let me start it off. Then let me start it with me. I think we have a real secondary problem if our D line does not perform like it did last year. And I think they covered up a lot of our back end issues, right? So I'm gonna be honest about that. We need Nick Bosa to be Pro Bowl Nick Bosa. We need D4 to stay healthy. That's one. 2. It's gonna be it's very difficult for us to shed DBs if it's not Deebo Samuel or George Kittle. Trent Taylor is gonna help us out. But we're not really that good at getting open, creating space. I think that's tough to do on our team. We don't have those guys who do that well, other than those 2 people I named. So that's 2, right? The third one for me, and I'm probably naming all the same areas you guys are naming, but the third one for me is where are we going to average on special teams? I know nobody talks about special teams. But Richie James is now coming back. We don't know how healthy he's going to be, but where is it that the field possession is going to be very important in this game because this is week 1 football. We're a running team, and we cannot have Jimmy G start at our 10-yard line because of a hold on kickoff returns or punts or whatever. We have to control the game's line of scrimmage, and we have to control the special teams play. I think that's very, very important. And I know people don't talk about it, but what I noticed when Jimmy G struggles, we don't have good field position. If he has room, if he starts 30, 35, around that, if that's pretty good for him. But if we're starting, under the 20-yard line, I'm telling you, man, we don't really look as good as we should. So what do you guys think?
Well, it's pretty simple for me. I got Robbie Gould as a reason. Then I got our defensive line. And then I'm going to end it with just a lack of being together offensively. Okay. Now let me start with Robbie Gould because I think it's going to be 21-13. I think Robbie's going to be kicking the ball a little bit in this game. Like you said, Mitch Wachowski's going to have to put us in great field position.
Oh, he's great too. I like him.
Oh, man. Yeah. He's a tacticianer, man.
Australian.
Like he's able to kick the ball in spots that no other punter is able to do. So I think Robbie Gould is going to be essential, right? And then I think that defensive line, man, if you don't get the containment, you have to stay home on this guy, Murray. If they decide to be aggressive, overly aggressive, and continue to shoot, we're going to get beat deep, right? And then offensively, what's our identity? I don't know what our identity is going to be. The easy answer is George Kittle. You know what I mean? But let's just say they miraculously lock up George Kittle. We got a bunch of injuries on offense, and the only person that I trust right now is Trent Taylor and Kendrick Bourne. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to take you over the top. But yeah, I think you got Robbie Gould, defensive line issues, and then offense has to get in sync.
Yeah, I think the injuries to wide receivers is, I think, one everyone can agree with. But when I look at 2017, who did Jimmy G win with? They beat Jacksonville and Kyle Shanahan. Who they have? Trent Taylor was there. KB wasn't Kendrick Bourne, who he is now. Was it Jeremy Curley? Was that the guy? I mean, and that's no disrespect to him. But so I guess that's why I'm not necessarily worried. And if Ayuk is healthy somewhat to give the defense a different look, but I do think if Deebo is not playing, well, the offense looks a little different. And who's guarding Ayuk, who's guarding Pettis, we'll find out. Obviously, Patrick Peterson, Byron Murphy, they're great corners. They're good. They're one of the best in the NFC behind Jalen Ramsey and Sherman. But so injuries to receivers are a big issue, but I do think Kyle Shanahan and even Jimmy Garoppolo can survive. but it'll be a lot tougher. But my number 2 thing, and it goes back to Kyler Murray, is Kyler Murray scrambling out of the pocket on non-design runs is a lot easier to handle rather than him being in a designed quarterback run play. The Niners were awful last year in designed run plays for Kyler Murray. He was, I don't want to say unstoppable, but he was borderline uncontainable. He was getting to the second, third level of defenses easily. He was making guys turn around and go, I didn't know he was even behind me. So that's how good Kyler Murray is. So I do think we have to look out for designed runs, because in passing plays, yes, Kyler Murray can escape the pocket, but he has a problem with running into his own guys, trying to escape too early. He feels the pressure and tries to run, and he can't do it. And he runs into D Ford or his own left tackle, Humphreys, and then Bosa's right there to swallow him up. But my last thing, and this kind of goes into, I think, a bigger picture here, and we saw this in Game 1 and Game 2, and that is Robert Saleh versus Cliff Kingsbury. Who is going to make the second half adjustment? Because that all depends on what Arizona and San Francisco throw at each other. But if Murray's coming out of the gate on design runs, can Robert Saleh stop? Can he stop Murray? Is he going to take his defense into the huddle, into the playbook, and say, look, this is what they're doing. This is how we have to stop it. We have to stop over chasing Kenyon Drake when Murray still has the ball. Be patient. Let the play develop. Yes, you can go on your reaction and go on your instinct, but be smart here. Murray, Drake, Hopkins, the guys they have in the backfield, Chase Edmonds, they're all weapons. So don't overreach. Don't look and say, oh, I think this is going to happen, and go, oh wait, no, I've already over adjusted, and Murray's 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. We saw it in Game 2. I think Saleh versus Kingsbury is a huge thing no one's talking about.
Yeah.
Man, it's been great, man. It's been great. I am so excited for Sunday, man. Like, I think I'm gonna marinate some tomorrow, man. Just for I'm gonna start tomorrow, man. You know what I mean? We're gonna get this right for Sunday. I really appreciate you coming on, man. I want everybody to know how to get in contact with you when it comes to your show. Just let them know all your social media handles, and we get going from there.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at 49ers_access. Follow me on Instagram, 49ers.access. The podcast is on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the podcast is called 49ers Access Podcast. You can find it anywhere podcasts are available. Thank you for having me on, guys. It was great. I love talking Niners. Anytime you want to have me on, DM me. We'll find a time, and I'll be here.
You better believe it, man.
Thank you.
You already know and we family now, so we're gonna be hitting you up. We will be hitting you up, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate all the subscribers and those who participated in the show. 49er Empire is very appreciative, but we also know that we got a war on Sunday, and we will be tweeting all day long. We will either go Sunday night or Monday. I don't know. We haven't decided yet, but we're definitely going to have an after show type of setup. So I really appreciate you coming on, man, and I'm gonna hold you to that. We're gonna have you back.
I have a lot of free time. So anytime you want to have me on, let me know, and we'll work something out.
Yes, sir.
All good, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, man. We 49ers, and we out. Niners.